Hey, it's To The Point with Mike, Leo, and Vince.
What's happening, guys?
What's going on, guys?
Episode 86, right? September 10th. September 10th. Everybody knows what tomorrow is.
9/11.
We don't have to remind anybody. Yeah, everybody knows.
Yeah, I mean,
people don't have to be reminded. Shit like that.
I saw
people shouldn't have to be reminded for stuff like that. No,
yeah.
Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Why should we be reminded of something like that? To me, I wouldn't even look. I mean, yeah, it's nice to be reminded of stuff like that, but then there again, look at the people, the people that suffered that day, and the people that are still suffering that day, and that have to go back and be thinking about all these people. Fucking think about, this and this and that. But yeah, my family member's gone. Like how bad did those people feel every single year? Everybody's out here marching, everybody's doing this, everybody's doing that, but yet my family member's still gone.
I mean, I guess they're just trying to turn it into more like a memorial, kind of like Veterans
I
Day.
understand,
but
still, if I was one of the
I agree with you. I wouldn't want to be reminded of the day.
I don't want to be reminded every single day, man.
It's To The Point with Mike.
It'd be a little bit too much, man. Like I gotta be reminded about this day every single year until who knows when, until I'm dead, because we're all gonna be reminded every 9/11 about what happened. Do you remember how old you were, Vince?
Yeah. I mean, it's good to be reminded.
Oh no, I agree.
Okay,
it's good to be reminded.
I had to step away, so I'm not sure where you were going with that. But I was like,
no, it's good to be reminded. But
if you think about it,
for those people that were hurt and are still hurting from that day, that just had trauma, had
kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because you're gonna have the people that are gonna say that, and then if you don't do anything, then you're gonna have people saying, well, apparently you don't care about the people that died.
Kids who weren't even born on 9/11 yet are soon to be eligible for public office. In some cases, are.
Yeah.
So that's scary. They're not.
Damn,
they're approaching.
Time.
Tomorrow will be what? 23 years.
How old were you? 23 years.
23 years.
Wow.
Been. Right. Yeah. So you think about that.
23
There's a whole generation that's in adulthood now that didn't live.
I think I was like 18 when it happened.
You remember where you were at?
Yeah, I know exactly where I was at.
Where?
I was at school watching. We heard about it, and then I remember watching. We're sitting in the classroom, and the second building gets hit by the second plane. And, I just go, did this other building get hit? And everybody else is going, no, it was just a replay of the first of of what happened. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that was different. And sure enough, they started, on the news, they started realizing that the second building got hit. I was sitting right in my world history class, senior year.
Senior year, huh? I was an 8th grader. I was in my 8th grade class.
Mike had already graduated.
I can't remember exactly. I mean,
I was working at a restaurant. I was a restaurant manager, actually, and I was on my way to work, and I was running a few minutes behind, and we had a guy that was helping us kind of part-time, and he was a retired firefighter from New York City, and his whole family was in either law enforcement or fire department, and he lost a brother and a brother-in-law, and everybody he served with, like the department he retired from, or the house he retired from, were the last on the scene.
Right.
But were, before the building started coming down. And so it was pretty traumatic. We had the TVs on right away, and I felt for the guy, and he stayed there glued to the TV.
Yeah, I remember we were the TV was on because it was the morning announcements or whatever was going on at the time.
I don't know how the hell to use this.
And so the TV stayed on, and then eventually teachers got a call on the phone. Who knows what they said? I'm assuming now at this age I know what they said. They said turn the damn TVs off. The kids can't be watching this shit. We're under attack. But it was sad, man. Like now I go back and look at it and I was like, holy shit, man. I was young to be going through this shit, thinking about this stuff. I was 14.
Yeah,
15,
it was a lot to take in, because
now it is. Now, if you think about it, it was a lot to take in. At the time, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know where two trade centers we're at. I didn't even know anything about this stuff. I didn't know nothing,
Yeah.
not a zip. I do now.
What's
You
up,
know.
Eddie, from the Patriots Prayer?
You
I'm
know.
pretty sure that's Eddie Smith. We're using Rumble
What's up, Eddie?
Studio for the first time. I'm ingressing from OBS. I don't even know why. So I'm not sure how to respond in the studio, but I appreciate you and appreciate they have a network called the Patriot Prayer Network, and they feature multiple shows, which I mentioned to you guys the other day. Some friends from the Atmosphere were there doing a live event for the Warrior Shield, which was an awesome benefit for veterans and stuff like that need help. And they're called Two Guys One Coup, and they do a week, like 3 days a week. They do a show, and they're big supporters too. So appreciate them and appreciate what Eddie does with Patriot Prayer. And I guess they've got a sports channel that's going to be coming out also, and that'll be interesting. And he's got some good things coming, from what I understand. And I'm glad we found them. I wouldn't have found them if it wasn't for the Dale and Jim,
Right.
Two Guys in One Coop. So,
Yeah.
anyways, back to
To the 9/11.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you guys ever have the time or ever been to New York City, I recommend going to the memorial. They have like a whole museum, a whole memorial of the 9/11 and stuff like that. I've been there.
Two Guys
And,
in One Coop. So.
It's real nice. It's real nice. If your skin doesn't crisp up like a pork rind, then I don't know. I don't know what kind of heart you got.
Right.
You know, you're an alien or you're something else. But it give you the goosebumps. You know, just seeing all the stuff, hearing. To me, it was mostly hearing people's cell phone calls to their loved ones. You know, because they knew what was happening.
Mm.
You know, they were the ones on the planes. They were the ones seeing the shit front row. They had literally tickets to the front row of everything that was about to happen, and they didn't even know it. These people purchased this ticket without knowing they had front seats to what was about to be history.
Imagine being on a plane that gets.
Could you just think about it?
Well,
Vince. Just think about it. If somebody says, "Hey, I'll sell you a ticket, but this is what's gonna happen," would you? Do you think these people would have purchased those tickets?
Oh, if they knew it was going to happen, no.
No.
Some people probably still would have.
Over the weekend during that event,
Scary.
those guys, Dale and Jim, interviewed a woman, and I'm horrible with names, and I didn't write it down, but go check them out. There's a recap. Her son was one of the guys who rushed the cabin in the plane that went down in, I think it was Pennsylvania. And her description of her son was like he was never on time to anything. He was the last one getting on that plane. He almost didn't make it, but he was late getting on that plane. And he was meant to be there. And it was pretty rough. Don't mind the dog, but yeah. So come here.
So yeah,
Come here.
but it's just
Come
sad, you know, just to think that these people have to be reminded, like loved ones, family members of these people have to be reminded, you know, every single year. You know, I feel for them, you know, because it's just we have to we again have to put this through.
You
through
have to
these people,
relive it
you know?
every year.
Right? They might have PTSD. You don't know. You know, some people suffer from that.
All right, the dog's over here.
He's all right.
He's an old dog.
But yeah. Anyways, man, you know, like people suffer from all this stuff. You know, you never know what's going through their mind. They're probably like, just turn the TV off, hide, don't want to hear anything, don't want to see anything, because it brings them back to that day. It brings them back to that moment. You know, so I feel for them. That's who I feel for. You know, like the people that are gone. I mean, they're gone. The soldiers, not soldiers, but firefighters, policemen, everybody that helped out that day, you know, thank you. But then there again, you know, we got to let things go at some point. Now we just have to, you know, all those people are legends now, man. You know, we just have to just let it go.
Yeah.
well, that's not. I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
know what
It's
you're
not-
saying, but
it's
somebody
not-
will take that the wrong way.
Yeah, and
you
it's
know.
not gonna
Well, that's
happen.
okay.
No,
I'm
there's
gonna
no
be-
letting that go. Though.
I'm going to be
Like,
judged regardless of what they say.
Well, right, but I'm saying there's no letting that go. If
No,
you let that
not
go,
let it go.
there's
but-
a whole generation that won't be taught what could happen when you let backdoor alliances with Saudi Arabia,
right.
take precedent over national
Yeah.
security, And there's a lot to say about what happened on 9/11. Don't get
Oh, yeah,
John
for sure.
started on building number 7. I mean, there's a lot to say about that, and I think that's what kind of woken up half of the people that are not woke, but awakened now
Right.
to what's really going on. It took a whole lot
Right.
more than 9/11, but the generations since are waking up, to what's going on with the establishment and the deep state and who the deep state really is. Right
Yeah, for
now,
sure.
there's a Tenet Media, and their channel's been taken off YouTube. They're banned everywhere. The Department of Justice is claiming that they have taken money from a Russian asset, and it's believed to push Russian-friendly propaganda here in the United States. Now,
Right.
they had contracts with Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, other other streamers, and a lot of them, like reporters, real reporters, their pages got taken down, and it's just like
Why?
because some of them are conservative. Some of them had no idea this woman Lauren Chen was getting money from
Right.
a Russian asset. Shut the hell up. And so a lot of people, a lot of streamers have been taken down, and
Yeah, for sure.
right now YouTube's going through like a purge where they're taking down major creators from videos and interviews years ago. Candace Owens, when she interviewed what's his name? Yee. What is that his name? I feel retarded saying that. Kanye West.
Kanye
So
West.
the interview she did with him, because of the stuff he said, got her 3 strikes in one video that was years old. Completely
Really?
demonetized and deleted on YouTube.
Wow.
So that goes to, I mean, if you follow us on Facebook, you've seen my post about downloading the Rumble app. All these people you follow on YouTube should be backing their stuff up on Rumble, because here one day, gone the next. And that's
Oh yeah, that's for
the
everything.
same. That could be for us, because we've gotten no strikes. But as of today, I will say publicly, no strikes on Facebook. No, I'm sorry. Facebook is different. We've got no strikes on Facebook, but that's a different story. YouTube, no strikes.
Right.
No strikes. And we've got a couple trolls, but so far the algorithm hasn't caught up with us, and I think that's what this is. I think the algorithm's changed, and that's where it's picking up on some of this language that they're going after, and they don't care at this point. Taylor Lorenz, who's a on-the-ground reporter, his page was deleted. Candace Owens, there's other ones. Obviously, if you pay attention to Steven Crowder, he's had his problems with demonetization issues with YouTube. But all these people, I mean, if they're taking money from Russia, shame on them, and if they work for Russia, we should send them to Russia, get them out of here. But besides that, I mean, make sure you follow us on Rumble and X. You can find me on X, where I'll post the shows and stuff like that, and shit talk there too. But definitely follow us on Rumble. There's other creators. I don't have the list of names, but in the news though. So that was the Russia 2.0. They're going to try and turn this around and bring this up during possibly tonight's debate. We're pre-gaming tonight for the first and probably only debate between the 45th President Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, the Vice President. And after Trump demolished Joe Biden, isn't that kind of screwed up though? If you think about it, like they had their guy, right?
Right.
They put their guy up against this guy. Well, this guy is beating this guy, so it's like it's kind of screwed up. They can like pull him out and put somebody else in place.
Right. We don't think.
It's
Well,
like pitch hitting, like
that's why they got upset. And I can't remember what amendment they were trying to say they had broke, but that's what they were saying. It's like you can't just pull him back because you said the reason was you didn't think he had a chance to win.
Right.
Like that's not a legitimate reason. If you said it was because he's medically unfit. If you said that, then that would be okay. But they didn't. They said, we're pulling him back. We're switching candidates because we don't think he's got a shot to win. That was what they said.
Yeah. And he had just said the day before, too, it's going to take an act of God to get me out of this race. And apparently, maybe an act of God didn't come see him, but Chuck Schumer and the devil did. But yeah, so this is going to be Russia 2.0.
This is going to be
and
good.
it's meant to detract the blue hair Republicans from the Trump base, the MAGA base. You got Liz Cheney, who's not a real Republican. She's the gay daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney, who was like the enemy of the left. They
Right.
thought he was the devil. They thought he was Satan incarnated, It's Dick Cheney, the warmonger, Halliburton, Iraq, oil, Kuwait. And but now his daughter said in a live interview that Dick Cheney will be voting for Kamala Harris in this election. So
Yeah.
and George Bush, I guess, was
Refused.
reported saying
Refused to pick a side.
he hasn't been able to make up his mind.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I mean, we all know, like George Bush, he was the man that stood on the rubble and said, we're going to get him, And at the time we all felt warm inside and was like, yeah, and maybe there was some bad guys that needed taken out. But at the same time, were those the bad guys that needed taken out for that? Was that the reason? The war in Iraq, really, Saddam Hussein was a horrible individual, but there's a whole lot of other horrible dictators also.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, we were lied to about that. And I'm not saying he didn't need removed, but, it took 2 Bushes to get him, And we were sold the Patriot Act, which was taught to us to be our savior, our
Right.
security blanket, give up, you're not going to have any privacy, but we're going to make sure we find these people, and we're going to do it through chatter.
Right.
Everything was about chatter. Do you remember that after 9/11?
Yeah.
Chatter, terrorist chatter. And that's pretty much the NSA listening on your phones, and that's
Oh, yeah.
where Edward Snowden and Julian Assange exposed that kind of stuff and became enemies of the state and enemies of the establishment. So make sure you follow these people on alternate platforms, X and Rumble are great examples. If they're on the other stuff, I don't know, whatever. But we upload to quite a few, and it's automatic to a whole bunch of podcast channels. But make sure you follow us on Rumble and X. Follow us on YouTube also. But yeah, check it out. So it's debate night, and they're all up in arms about the rules. Kamala Harris wanted to be able to fact check Donald Trump live,
Right.
but apparently they already agreed to the rules with the muted microphones,
Right.
which played out. They thought they were going to get Trump with that in the first debate against Biden, but all the rules they thought they were restricting Trump with played in his favor. So it'll be interesting tonight.
When you say rules, what do you mean? Like,
So they agree, they negotiate are they going to be sitting down? Are they going to be standing up? Or is there going to be a podium in front of them? Are the mics going to be live, hot mics the whole time?
Or
Like,
do
can they interrupt each other?
Right.
How long can they rebut for? It's negotiation. And so far, this will be the only debate because Kamala Harris didn't agree to the one with Fox News. So
I'll
this
tell
one
you,
will be on ABC.
So I'll tell you what, that right there just tells me it's fake. Because there's already a scripture.
Well, they're
This is-
trying.
This
Yeah.
is what's going to be. This is
Well,
listen,
they
let's
don't know
make
what
it
the
a stri-
questions are yet,
Right.
supposedly.
no, but
Supposedly.
I'm just saying.
But now,
let's-
if you go back to 2016, that Donna Brazile gave Hillary Clinton the questions before the debate, and she got fired afterwards. But yeah, this freaking dog.
she's telling us that tonight is going to be a mess. I know it is. It's going to be a
What do
mess.
you want?
Somebody's going to break the rules. Rules are there to be broken.
Yeah. So
Somebody's going to
yeah.
break the rules tonight. And I'll tell you what. It don't matter. It does not matter if there's a debate or no debate. Someone is always going to be uncomfortable. Someone is always going to be unhappy about the left or the right, the blue or the red. Like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we just know that the government is gonna put whoever the hell they want up there, and they're just gonna take the consequences. Whatever happens, happens. If they want to take over America, then let it be Harris. You know, because then the Americans is gonna come out, and then
Yeah,
if the Americans win,
I
the Harris people are gonna be upset because of this and because of that. Like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if Trump wins, Harris people are gonna be so upset. Oh, this, oh that. If Kamala wins, somebody's always gonna be upset.
Did you hear anything about? I don't remember the guy's name, but he was talking about if Trump wins,
Right.
they're not gonna let him take office. I can't remember if it's Amendment 14. I can't remember. They're gonna invoke one of the constitutions that somehow they say can prevent Trump from being able to take office. And the guy when he was saying this said, and all the Democratic leaders will need to get private protection because there will be a civil war. That's
Well,
their
there's
plan.
some say that he's still the commander in chief.
Yeah. What was his name again? I forgot his name.
What's that?
The guy that was saying that. Oh, you're talking about Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some say he had set up already, him and the anti-establishment had set up, I think it's called the dissolution of government, and where it's like a shadow government to make sure, like in a case like a Joe Biden or a, God forbid, a Kamala Harris gets us into a world war, our government will keep on going. And there's controversy, like, or there's thought, it's entertaining. Maybe it's a wacko, but like the Space Force.
Right.
How many presidents do you know just automatically like snap their finger and create a whole nother branch of the military? And that's what it is. And it be the Space Force,
Right.
Granted, it's things we needed back in the Cold War and stuff like that. But it's more of a reality now, especially with technology. It's not so far-fetched. But if you know anything about, I think it was Reagan's Star Wars program, it was literally like defense systems in outer space meant to shoot down nuclear warheads, coming from Russia or ballistic, whatever. I'm by far not an expert on any of that shit, so feel free to fact check me. But yeah,
No, I agree.
wondering
though.
how our internet's holding up because AT&T and T-Mobile have been having a problem
Oh yeah.
out here, but
Yeah, it's been a little slow. I know my internet's been a little slow.
we were hoping to show some of the debate, but I don't know if we'll have any chance of that.
Right.
I'm over here thumbing through. So, did you hear about the Haitian migrants
No,
in
what happened?
Springfield, Ohio?
Oh.
Eating cats and shit. Eating the neighbor's cats.
Cats.
Snatching up
I
ducks
missed that. Holy shit.
and animals in the park.
What the
People are missing their pets and shit. Somebody had come home and there was a neighbor in the driveway skinning their cat.
How's that possible?
What was that? Oh.
Message.
Pet the cat.
That's
Pet
crazy.
the cat.
Could you imagine coming home and somebody's skinning your cat in the driveway?
What the hell?
I mean,
I'd freak the fuck out. I'd be like, "What the hell's going
I'd
on
probably
here?"
shoot
Like,
him.
Shit, man.
like not
Yeah.
just because of what you're doing to my cat, but in fear of my life. What are you?
Yeah, who you gonna?
Skinning
What are you
a
gonna
cat,
skin next?
right?
Coming
Yeah,
from? You hear nightmares. I'm not racist. We've worked with a lot of Haitian immigrants that are here for the right reasons, but
yeah.
there's a lot of shit going down back home, and they don't want to be there. Good and bad.
I mean, I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to be there
Me
either.
Me
You
either. I
know?
think their leader is called Barbecue or some shit like that.
And isn't there like a
Let's see
gang
here.
or something?
Yeah,
like that related?
the gang leader's his nickname is Barbecue. He literally is controlling most of the country right now.
Sad. But then there again, never mind.
Well, Leo, back to the debate a little bit. Remember, you asked a question earlier. What was the question you asked on Instagram?
Well, does it even matter if we have a debate or not? Like, does it even matter?
I think for me it doesn't, but I think what the debate can help is, I mean, I expect Harris to make herself look dumb because she
Right.
is, and I'm hoping that that'll convince some people. I can't vote for this person to be the president. Of some of the people that are on the fence, I don't think really anything Trump's gonna do is gonna pull anybody in. I think most people know what to expect from Trump. But hopefully some of the people that are on the fence today will pick a side, I guess, out of it.
Right. So if you could guess or if you could know what they're going to be asked, what do you think they're going to be asked?
Well, they're going to be asked about the border for sure. What are you going to do about that? They're going to be asked about, taxes. What are you going to do to put
Health
more...
insurance, you think?
Oh, yeah. All that typical stuff is always going to be the same. I mean, the question, how they're worded might be different, but you already know what some of the topics are going to be, the hot points.
It'll be interesting. I've got it pulled up here, but it's not for another 15 minutes. I don't know if we're gonna hang out for that. We might start it off.
No, Mike.
It
I
doesn't-
want
it doesn't
Mike.
usually
I
start
want to
on
go home,
time.
take a shower, and I want to lay down and be able to judge these people from my bed.
Yeah,
Because
well,
that's what I'm gonna do, man. I'm gonna judge these people. That's exactly what we're gonna do, and that's what everyone's gonna do tonight. I was talking to Mike and about it, and I was talking about this judgment. Like, so what, man? We're gonna judge. We're human beings, man.
Yeah, it's natural.
Like Mike
some
said.
judge more than others.
Oh
Mike
yeah, for
said.
sure. Like someone said, we're not the ones who are gonna give you the final judgment. So that to us, it doesn't. That's not us. But while you're here, guess what? I'm up. For sure. I know I'm being judged
I'm only
right now.
worried about the final judgment, but
Yeah,
that
for
doesn't
sure.
mean I'm not being judged every day.
Right.
Yeah, for
by
sure.
my
You're
actions.
judged.
yeah.
You're judged by everything you do.
Everything,
By
man.
everybody.
Everybody and
Right.
everybody. We're humans. What do you expect? At least we say we're humans.
Yeah.
We could have been Sasquatches.
I never claimed to be.
Could you imagine if we were Sasquatches, man?
You
We probably
could
were.
be.
Who knows, man?
That would be kind of cool, actually, to find out that,
And you know who knows? The government. Trump knows. Kamala Harris knows. They all know about all this stuff, man. They just won't tell us.
I don't know if they really even...
Vince, they
I
know
don't know.
more than we. Vince, these people, man. That's why I want to watch this debate, just to see how they're gonna act. Because sometimes they just act a fool. Like literally, just answer the question and move on. Don't sit there and argue. And you said this. Answer the question and move on. You
Well,
know, if
yeah.
I was Trump, I'd bring in my headphones and it'd be like, "Hey, listen, I don't even want to hear what she's gonna say.
But that's...
I don't want to hear her response
That's
because it's
That's the biggest part of the debate, though, is your response to what the candidate said.
okay, but who cares what she says? Believe her or not. This is what I'm gonna tell you. This is what my response is. I don't care about her.
Rumble Studio is horrible.
She could say the
right
same
now.
thing about me. I don't care. Okay, good. Then what are we doing here? See, that's how I look at it. I look at it like they're just wasting time and taxpayers' money. Is what they're doing. They're just wasting my money. Someone up there is gonna look like a fool, and they're gonna be crying at the end of the night. Someone's gonna be crying at the end of the night.
Well, I mean, we've had good debates where both sides come away feeling like they had won.
You think they're gonna shake hands?
No.
No.
You think they should?
No.
No.
Why not?
Because we're at war.
Uh,
I mean, am I wrong, Leo?
Fuck, man.
We're at war. Maybe not like
What do you mean,
bullets
like, at
flying
war?
yet. We're at war. It's us versus them. There's never been a bigger divide than now.
So you would think we're at war with each other as of right now.
Yeah.
yes.
Politically,
The
we're
only
at
way,
war.
if I was Trump, I would shake her hand, is if I followed up with a left hook, punch her right
To
the
pull
fuck
you,
out.
pull you in a little bit, and
Literally, they took a shot at him.
right?
They are okay with that. I don't care
Mike-
what they said the days after.
So I'll tell
They
you.
were okay with that because their language against conservatives and their lies about Trump provoked somebody to shoot at Trump. They took a shot at Trump.
And there's no doubt they allowed it to happen. The
For
Secret
sure,
Service,
now we know.
the Secret Service allowed it to happen. And I still say on the water tower, there was somebody else there to take out the shooter, so they couldn't. There's no way you could interview him later.
So you don't think that after the debate is done, one of them goes to the left, the other one goes to the right. They get off the stage, right? You don't think that behind the curtains they give each other a fucking fist bump?
No,
Leo, they don't.
no.
Even,
Now
they don't
Bush,
probably come close to each other.
You don't think they come close to each
now
other?
Bush, Obama, or anybody but
Hey,
Trump.
you got another of those candies, Mike?
Anybody but Trump.
Oh yeah, it would be
That
all.
was pretty good.
Yeah, if
That's
they were.
Yeah,
Mexican
the bugs are
If it was
all-
anybody but Trump, like you said, they'd shake hands and.
Anybody but Trump. Trump is the threat to their deep state.
I'd still shake. If I was Trump, I would still go up there and try to shake her hand to see what she would do, and be like, "See, you guys just saw on national TV. This lady didn't want to even shake my hand. I'm trying to be
You should
respectful.
do the whole.
I'd be respect. I got him.
That would be pretty good.
That's pretty messed up.
Yeah, so I opened up our Twitter. Let me switch over here to this. See if this works here. Yep, you can hear us. There's TGI Now reposted. This was a throwback to when we went to the Cave 420 studio and met with the guys.
Yeah, it was a good time.
It's TGI Now time. Back again in the Cade 420 studio
It's a fun
discussing.
time with those guys.
I'm about to go ham and I'm throwing a nigga like me might stay. We about to break down, roll up, we about to get high today. Go ahead and spark that up, pass it like a damn relay. You forgot your place, now we in your back.
It's TGI Now time. Back again in the Cade 420 studio discussing real, authentic, true talk, freedom of speech, and living in the now.
Crazy how much they've grown to
episode at a
to
time. Shit, we
like
trying.
when we first,
Boom.
when you first told me, hey,
I'm about to go ham and I'm throwing a nigga like me might stay.
down, and you hear about what's going on with the school board, and there's this guy here in town that there's this podcast. It's called TGI Now. You should listen to them, and they think just like. At first, Mike was listening to I don't. Mike came
I
across
don't
of
know, man. I know.
Mike somehow came across of it. So somehow a post from the Moms for Liberty,
Yeah.
something pushing about John or something like that, and then somehow the podcast came up or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't meet.
And
I
then
didn't
Mike-
meet
and
him
then-
until a little later.
And
after
then
you
Mike's
guys
like,
did.
"Hey Leo, did you hear about the podcast, man?" He's like, "Somebody beat us to it." And I was
Well,
like,
yeah. That's what it was. It was like in the comments on some of the Facebook posts about the books in the libraries.
yeah,
And found John Karapi. And met him.
Hashtag-
We went and met him also at a school board
at a
meeting, right?
school board meeting. Yeah,
Yeah, let's not talk about the rest of that meeting.
no,
But
but,
yeah.
still, it was
Yeah.
so like it's just like, like, it's crazy because we've listened to them like since the beginning, like we've always listened to them and stuff like that. Big shout out to them. But we've seen them grow, and we've seen them like all the stuff they talk about is true stuff. Like they talked about the guy from America's Most Wanted. What's his name? John Walsh's daughter.
Yeah.
We seen John get arrested.
Yeah, he was there. He was
Yeah,
there.
He was there.
He
we
was-
saw that.
Florida flip flown out
Yeah.
when they came to take her freaking 5-day-old baby. Yeah, or
You
5
know,
week
like-
or 5 day. I think it was like 5 days, right?
Somewhere on there. 5.
I don't know.
It was. Go back and check that video. It's still out there, man.
Oh,
you
look,
know?
there you are. You can see us on our Twitter there, or X. I'm sorry,
Um,
X.com. There,
But yeah,
there's
for
a
sure,
lot
go
going.
check them out and stuff like that. But yeah, we've seen everything they've done. That we've seen them grow. That we've seen them, get their merch out there. And we've seen them everything, man. So it's just awesome. Those guys are out there, and they've inspired us to just keep going, man. Just keep pushing. We're gonna go out there one day. Someone's gonna hear us. Someone's gonna hear our voice.
Yeah, so these are the two guys I was telling you about, Dale and Jim from Two Guys One Coup. Check them out. Follow them. Follow the Patriot Prayer Network, and they're on Facebook and all that too. But you can search them out by name and by that. But yeah, this is our X.com or our X account. Don't forget to follow us there. because Facebook sucks.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't
But yeah, Vince, I don't know, man. What do you think? How do you think it's gonna go tonight? Who do you think is gonna put on the red nose?
Well, I mean, I think Kamala's gonna make herself sound uneducated, and I think she's gonna sound like she's out of her league. You know, like she doesn't belong there. Just like any other interview I've heard her do, even the last one where she did it with her vice president candidate right beside her,
Yeah, like she
helping
brought her
coach her,
dad.
with looking down at notes, reading stuff off paper,
Right.
and she still sounded dumb. She sounded like, I don't know.
I didn't
she
watch it. This will be
But
interesting though.
You don't
I'm
think they
curious
have
to see
people
how this
that
will be.
write stuff down for them though?
Well, yeah, she was reading. She was reading from what stuff she was supposed to say.
So you wouldn't think that you would read it before you're like glancing at it and be like, wait a minute, this is not.
Well, it wasn't the stuff she was like. It was when she would stray a little bit, and like kind of improvise.
You think she's
She
a
really-
robot? You think
Do I think
she's?
no, I don't think she's a robot.
You think she's programmed?
No, because they would program her better to be a little smarter.
Yeah, but it's like a bad program to make her look good. Like tonight, you think somebody up there is gonna look like an alien, like something that's not real?
No.
Say that again.
He wants to know if one of the candidates are going to look like an alien. tonight.
Gonna look like an alien. Do you think Kamala's program? You
Yeah.
think Trump is programmed?
No.
She's told
Trump
what to say.
Trump wasn't supposed to happen.
When I mean program, I mean like, was he supposed to? Was he even supposed to be there 4 years ago?
Was Trump supposed to?
Yes.
Be? Yes.
But was he like planned? Was it planned for him to be there, or was it
Yes.
just like we went over a speed bump?
No. Jesus put him there. Leo. To help save the country.
You think so?
Yes. I think he was supposed to be the one to try to prevent where this country was going.
So you think
To
he's going to be the
communism,
one putting him
socialism.
back in office this time?
I hope he can get it done. I mean, it's going to take more than 4 years, so that's why it's so important that we get his replacement lined up. It's gotta
From
be
the
right
vice
guy.
president, it's very important we get it
Right.
right with the vice. I mean, some don't think it's that important, but right now, I believe if we follow the system in the way it's supposed to be,
I don't
I think our vice president choice right now.
Look,
Is,
the stage
very
is already
critical.
blue. Look,
I agree because
you see that the stage is already blue.
I agree it's very critical because Trump can do a lot to line things up, but I don't think he can fix this broken system in 4 years. He can do a lot to make things better, but if they don't get reelected,
What would be one? What would be one of the first things
they
you
can go
think
back
he?
and change it right back? Look how quickly they fucked it up with Joe Biden.
What do you think would be one of the first things he goes back and fix right away?
Right away,
He's gonna open the
Robert
pipeline first.
Robert F. Kennedy came out the other day and said the first thing they're going to do is declare a national health emergency and attack the poisons in the food right now. The reason why Americans are so fat right this day and age, the reason why there's all these heart diseases that were uncommon
I'll tell you
back
what it is.
before
Cancer.
processed
I'll tell you
foods.
what it is.
Cancer.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it is.
Vaccines and processed
Cancer's
foods.
through the
you know.
roof.
I shouldn't say vaccines, but because they're not for everybody, but they do good. Without them, we would be riddled with pox and who knows
Right.
Yeah.
what else, polio and shit like that. And so they play a part, but all the other big pharma out there really is poisonous. That and fast food and processed foods. You can't
think-
go to the supermarket and not leave with a handful of freaking high fructose corn syrup riddled with dyes and stuff.
You think that's why they're burning or all these warehouses or fabrications or all these meat places or egg places are burning down? You think are they being burned down for a reason, or are they being
Yes.
burned down?
Yeah.
All of a sudden these things are just catching fire.
Yes. I don't believe all the chicken fires we saw the last couple of years. I don't know if they've been going on still, but there was a lot there for a while, right? Some major facilities for the big
Yeah.
suppliers
And-
in America.
And they were covering stuff
Right
up.
around the same time, China was taking over the market and buying out major big companies that produced here. You know, everybody was like, "Oh, all our stuff, our chicken's gonna come, our pork's gonna come from China." Great going, and it was like, no, it's not. They're still gonna do it here. But then next thing you know, they're burning down all the damn farms and making way for China to buy more land or Bill Gates to buy more land. I don't know which is worse right now. I mean, they both should be banned from buying more land in the United States, but are they starting yet? Do you want to tune in and see what they're talking about? I was kind of hoping to catch it when they would at least give us the rules of their debate tonight. And
Debate countdown 14 more minutes.
14 minutes.
Yep.
Are we live
Yep.
with them?
Yep.
No, you're not live.
Yeah, it's live.
Click the live button down there.
Where?
It went away when you, whatever you just.
No, it's live.
What are you
Oh,
talking
debate
about?
countdown 18. Right there, look.
Oh, see down there.
Oh, now I'm live. Okay, right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, well, down by the you turn off the mute button, and there's a live button when you go by the volume.
Click on that.
Yeah, that'll make you live.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't know that. Thanks.
yeah.
I can't hear it though, Mike.
I don't know if we really want to play all this yet.
Oh no.
If
no.
you keep an eye on it, if you see them start talking about rules, and we'll I mean, I'll at least let it go for the introduction. If you guys want to wrap it up and leave whenever you want, you can, but I can turn it over there without us. But there's plenty of other streamers. And let's turn it over. Let's see what they're talking about right
Yeah,
now.
let's see what they're talking about. Can we be able to talk?
Yeah. Let's see here. I hear him.
Vice President
There.
Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump are just moments away from taking the stage in this unprecedented race for president.
And I'm Lindsay Davis. Tonight's meeting could be the most consequential event of their campaigns, with Election Day now less than 2 months away. For Vice President Kamala Harris, this is her first debate since President Biden withdrew from the race on July 21st. Of course, that decision followed his debate against President Donald Trump in June. Since then, this race has taken on an entirely new dynamic.
And that brings us to the rules of tonight's debate. 90 minutes with 2 commercial breaks. No topics or questions have been shared with the campaigns. The candidates will have 2 minutes to
we're good.
answer questions, and this is the clock. That's what they'll be seeing. 2 minutes for rebuttals and 1 minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. Their microphones will only be turned on when it's their turn to speak. No pre-written notes allowed. There is no audience here tonight in this hall at the National Constitution
See, these
Center.
are the
This
rules
is
we
an
were talking
intimate
about.
setting
No
for 2
pre-written
candidates
notes.
who have never met.
President Trump won the coin toss.
They
He
have
chose
never
to
met?
deliver the
No.
final closing statement of
They
the
have
evening.
never met?
Vice President
Face to
Harris
face,
selected the
like in
podium to the
person?
right.
So let's now welcome the candidates
See,
to the
that's pretty
stage.
fucked
Vice
up.
President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
Ooh. Ah.
Kamala Harris.
What?
Let's have a good debate. Thank you.
What did I just talk
It's wonderful
about?
to have you. It's an
I
honor
didn't
to have
think
you.
that was going to happen
Good evening. We are looking
That
forward
had
to
to
a
have been agreed
spirited
to.
and thoughtful debate.
ahead of
So
time.
let's get
She
started.
did it on purpose.
I want to begin
I know
tonight
she
with
did.
the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one
looks
issue,
good.
and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid.
I don't care
And
about that.
I am
That's not
actually the only
question.
person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people.
another one.
And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy.
little thing
Because
that's
here's the
really
thing. We know that
Listen.
we have a shortage
strong at
of
first.
homes and housing. And the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion. One of them is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year
only 2 minutes.
because of his policies and his ideas about what
2
should
minutes
be
is long.
the backs
This
of
is like the
middle-class
opening
people
is that what they
paying
said?
for tax
No, they
cuts
asked
for
her a
billionaires.
question.
President Trump, I'll
That's
give you
true.
That was
Yeah.
a long ass.
First of
2
all, I
minutes.
have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at
big. You see her
Springfield,
nostrils
Ohio.
getting big?
You look at
Why are your nostrils
Aurora
getting big, bro?
in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in
She's like
violently.
eyeballing them.
These are the people
John doesn't
that
like
she and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health
That's because
epidemic in a
everything's
century.
shut down because
Donald
of COVID.
Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is
Oh my
build
God, you gotta
on what
listen
we
to this
know are the
bullshit, Mike.
aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all, in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook.
Drinks over there.
A bunch of lies,
Yeah, what you want?
grievances, and name calling. What you're going to hear
What do we
tonight
got?
is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the
here
former
we go.
president intends
Here
on
we go.
implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump, I'll give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic. And the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounced back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks.
Oh, I wasn't muted, so.
I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy. And the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out
Well,
for
he's
you.
got to. You guys have played law for him.
I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors,
Come here.
think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh,
Run, spot, run.
taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The Vice President brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years.
Thank you.
I was the only president
Yeah, for
ever.
sure. Charge them.
China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response. And you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet.
Oh, come on.
Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point, when we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy. It's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it
I don't know. We can wrap it up anytime.
for a doctor or nurse to provide health care
you know, we
in
only
one
have a
state,
couple
it
watches right now.
provides
There's
prison
hundreds
for
of
life.
streamers streaming right now, but we
Trump
can
abortion
always
bans that make no
wrap it up
exception
and
even
pick
for
up
rape
where we
and
left off
incest,
next
which
week.
Understand what that means.
I might
a
see
survivor
if
of a crime, a violation
a couple
to
people
their
are available,
body
maybe
does not have the right to make a decision about
tomorrow
what
night to
happens
talk about
to
it,
their
but
body
you
next.
know,
That
stuff
is
going on in the middle of the
immoral.
week. Be sure to
And
follow us
one does
on
not have
Rumble
to
and
abandon
Spotify,
their faith
Apple
or
Podcasts.
deeply held
If you
beliefs
use any of
to
those,
agree.
follow us.
The
If you
government
use
and
none
Donald
of them,
Trump certainly
so what,
should
follow
not
us
be
anyways,
telling a
but-
woman what to do with her body. I have talked with
well,
women
they're talking about Roe v.
around
Wade
our
here. This
country.
is, like she
You
said, the
wanna talk about
protections
this is
for
what
abortion
people
rights for
wanted?
women. What
Pregnant women who want
the
to
Supreme
carry
Court
a
did-
pregnancy to term, suffering
Put it
from a
in control of the
miscarriage,
state.
being
Right,
denied
where
care
that's
in an
what we're supposed to
emergency
be
room
about,
because
is
the
states'
healthcare
rights,
providers
so-
are afraid they might
And that's
go
why
to
I
jail,
think the whole
and she's bleeding
conversation
out in a
between
car in
them
the parking lot.
about
She
this
didn't want
issue is a
that. Her
non-issue
husband
because
didn't
neither
want
one of them
that.
have any say.
A 12 or
Right
13-year-old
now, it's up to the
survivor of
states,
incest
not
being
who's
forced
president.
to carry a pregnancy to term, they don't want that.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up.
I
I'm gonna
pledge to
upload
you,
this later on,
when
but
Congress
for
passes
the most
a bill
part, if you're
to put back
watching,
in place the protections
thanks,
of Roe
appreciate
v.
it.
Wade,
You watch
as
our
President
replay,
of the
that's
United
cool.
States, I will proudly sign it into
let's get us back
law.
over here.
But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand,
I
in
don't
his
believe
Project
her when it comes to that
2025, there
national
would be
abortion
a national
ban.
abortion, a monitor that would be
why would
monitoring
he
your pregnancies,
encourage
your
the Supreme Court
miscarriages.
send it back
I
to the
think the American
states
people believe
and then do a
that
national
certain
abortion ban?
freedoms,
Right. He already
in
gave the
particular
It's a lot.
freedom to
Yeah,
make
He already
decisions
gave the
about
power to
one's
the
own
states when
body
he was president.
should not
She's
be
just
made
flat out
Which
lying.
Thank
I
you,
think
Vice
that's the right
President
move.
Harris.
Well, there
Your
she goes
state
again.
gets to
It's a
decide.
lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted.
They can hear it at
Democrats,
home. They can't see it 'cause
Republicans,
I
and
switched cameras,
everybody
but-
else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little
Yeah.
time, but
Your
for
states are more
52
liable
years,
to
this
you,
issue
so-
has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has
right,
now
it
been
doesn't
taken over
matter.
by the states.
Would you
president
veto
has
a
no
national
say.
abortion ban if it
Well,
came
I
to your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50 and essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of when they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea.
And they're just
how
gonna
unfair
tell you
that
they're
would have
gonna
been.
do it
Part of
again.
the reason they lost to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D. And I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she
Some
says
have
about going to
been
Congress. So wonderful.
paid,
Let's go
right?
to Congress,
Like-
do it. But the fact
But they're
is
not-
that for
the
years
court
they
is
wanted to
blocking
get
them
it
from
out of
doing more,
Congress and
so.
out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, Nowhere in America
That means
is
executive
a woman
order.
carrying a pregnancy
Dictatorship.
to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. What is happening in our country? Working people, working women who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford child care.
Yes, because you put us in this situation.
To another state.
No
Right?
shit.
Yeah, and that's
You
just
put
it.
us in the
exactly. And they
situation.
point the finger and say, "Look what he did
Don't
to
point
us."
it at
but
me.
it was them.
You put us in the situation. Nobody was in the situation 4 years ago.
We went from the best economy under Trump, and they, within the first year of taking it over, absolutely destroyed it. Even during COVID, our economy was still fucking, I mean, there was still, I had more money. I was getting $2,000 a year tax returns. I paid money the last few years.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. And my dog is telling me it's time to wrap it up.
So. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you
Hasta la
next
vista,
week,
baby.
Yep, appreciate
out.
you. Catch us on Rumble and X and Facebook and all that. Peace out.
Later.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm going to come.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm going to come.